wanna be free when my people to prosper and hold it down. Don't you sit and wait, contemplating on a revolution. The time is now. I just wanna be free. 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 Can't you see? I just wanna be free.
Woo! Okay. Another episode of the Things I Wish I Knew About Money podcast. I'm your host, Camille Smith, and normally y'all are used to me doing this live on Saturdays, but I was in Mississauga yesterday, supporting Flip and Floss with their product launch. So my bad. If anyone knows Toronto's frigging traffic and things, and you know how I don't even like going to the West, but whenever it's to support Flip and Floss, I'm all about it. So I got stuck in things, but we're here now and all that great stuff. And I want to bring in my guest, Chantalle. Big up her for coming to the stage. Hello.
Hey, what's up, Camille? Thanks for having me on your show. Appreciate it.
No problem. I know it was a little rusty with yesterday, but you know us, the Scarborough people.
That's good, man. It's all good. Like, as long as we get the message out there, doesn't matter. Just the info comes when it's supposed to come. You know what I mean? So it's all good.
Exactly. And I know folks are still going to be able to get a lot from what we're going to talk about. And one thing I want to mention is that because it's like Financial Literacy Month, I know like the first week I had something fun about dating, rate-tay, which was a big bacchanal, but last week I was talking about taxes, and this week I wanted us to have a discussion about debt. So, and I know that you're well experienced in that, but before we even start with that article, I just wanted the folks to know who you are.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a lot, man. I don't know what to say, but for the sake of this particular show, I'm gonna say that I've had my own financial journey, and a lot of it has kind of led me to where I'm at today.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, how I feed my family, my bread and butter is through mortgages.
Okay.
So I help people find money for their homes and help them, like, just get into their first time homes, or get second in like investment properties, third investment properties, whatever makes sense for that client.
Yeah.
I also help with credits. I help a lot of families like understand credit so they can leverage it and again get into homes, get credit cards, lines of credits, all those good stuff.
Yeah.
And and then budgeting, things like that. And only because it just kind of falls all into the world that I'm in. Like it just all like ties in together. So yeah.
Mingles, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and actually I'm laughing because there was M2M had an event last week, and I heard it was like about real estate, and Ian was there, Ian Dunlap.
I love Ian
always
Dunlap.
love, right?
Yes, first guy, master investor.
I'm like so inspired when he talks because I know how passionate he is, and he actually just found out how crazy the renewal of mortgages are going to be in the next couple of years.
Yep.
And honestly, just thinking about that, and of course, Raymond, he was having that discussion on Friday, and I was like, yo, this is actually going to be really scary for a lot of folks.
Yep.
So I really want, like, I know it's something that we're scared to talk about, but I really want folks to like put that in their mind. And what do you think about like what's happening in the economy right now with mortgages?
I mean, it's really messed up. I'm not gonna front about it. Like, I don't know how else to say it, right? Like, a lot of people are getting like shocked with payments, right? Payment shocks, right? Because the truth is that a lot of them, when they signed up 5 years ago, whatnot, a lot of them are coming out of 3%, 2%, and now even jumping into 6%, 7%. And it's a huge shock for a lot of people, right? And
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, a lot of people's pays have not gone up. A lot of people have not changed jobs, so they're still like kind of just getting that 10 cents increase, that 25-cent increase. You know what I mean? If you're not hacking and changing jobs every couple of years, to
Yeah.
kind of keep your pay, kind of everything's just more expensive, right? And again, the shock with the mortgages, like they don't care. The Bank of Canada has, raised their interest rates, and so the lenders follow, right?
Yeah.
So
And I
just
have to
like
I had to highlight that the shock of payments, right?
yeah. So right now we're encouraging people like when they get the renewal letters not to just sign off right away, because the truth is that a lot of, for some reason, I don't know, like it's like the lenders are not rewarding people for
Mm-hmm.
good payments history. They're not rewarding their clients that have like great credit scores, that have made sure that they've done everything in their power to make sure that they're on time with their payments and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So like even just like taking a couple hours to get some paperwork in can save you hundreds and hundreds of dollars. So right now that's what I've just been doing. I've been doing a lot of renewals and just transferring people out to other lenders, because the truth is, for some reason, when you transfer out, like you're saving like hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month just by just transferring out. And we're doing it
Mm-hmm.
with like, there's ways we could do it where you're not even paying any additional costs. We're saving you on lawyer fees.
Yeah.
So you don't even have to pay any of that, as long as you're not like refinancing and doing like some of those things. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like you can literally do this for zero cost.
Ooh, explain that more. Just a little bit.
So yeah, so basically, it's called a switch or a transfer, right?
Okay.
So basically, what that means is, like, let's just say, I'm just using a random example. Let's just say I have $100,000 left to pay on my mortgage,
Okay.
right? And I don't need to take out any extra money. Like I don't need to like consolidate any debt. I'm not trying to do anything fancy. I just literally just want to continue on with the same amortization, which is like the
Okay.
lifetime of my mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
And I just like everything's gonna stay exactly the same. So when you're keeping everything exactly the same, there is ways where you can just transfer out without having to pay any costs. There's some lawyers that will kind of take care of that for you. We set you up with that, so that you're not even paying. You're literally not paying a penny.
Well then.
Yeah,
I've actually never heard that one, so I'm glad we're able to have that discussion. Um,
it depends
and
on your
it's
situation, of course, but
true.
there's like,
True.
yeah, not it's not for everybody, but like this is like, yeah, like these like you would have to look at everyone's files, but there is opportunity for that for sure. But some people just don't know that. So
Okay, and
yeah.
then you mentioned with the shock of payments. I'm just going back because I remember seeing like the different like I can only imagine how people feel like when they were from 2% to 6%. But I even seen like the difference with like literally 1%. Like when someone was like trying to get approved for a mortgage, and I'm like,
Mhm.
yo, this is wild. Like, why is it so much of a difference? Like, and I'm like trying to consolidate, like not consolidate, sorry. I'm trying to consult someone on which one to choose, and I'm like, damn, there's so many factors to take in.
There's so many factors, and that's why we encourage people just to like I'm a mortgage agent, so I will always tell people to consult with a mortgage agent versus going straight to their bank. I'm not saying don't consult with your bank, and sometimes that is the case. Like I have many people who will talk to me and be like, you know what do you think I should do here?
Mm-hmm.
I'll look over their file, and sometimes I'm like, you know what, your best interest is to renew. You just renew with the current lender, because it depends on the situation, right? Because
Yeah.
I might look at a file and be like, you know what, if we take you out, you might not even qualify with these rates that are going on. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to put you in a situation. I'd rather you renew, and then let's go revisit that again later on, right?
Okay. And is
Yeah,
that like an issue when it comes to A lender and B lender type of
all
thing?
lenders, yeah, A lender,
Okay.
B lender, yeah. Because the thing is, again, like if okay, like so for example, like if you got qualified and it was like 3% at the time,
Yeah.
and now like you want to switch over, but it's like at 7%. and I'm looking at your ratios, your debt to income ratios and things like that. I'm like, you know what? If we open this can of worms, we might not have a mortgage period. So you might have to kind of swallow this pill and deal with this, right? Like, so there's some clients I just say, this is in your best interest. Just renew. And I've had to do that because I'm always going to do what's in the best interest of the clients.
Absolutely.
But of course, I always give them their options. I'm a person, I provide a whole budget sheet. So they'll always see the number dollar for dollar, exactly what is going on. So they can always make a sound. Like I always tell them obviously my professional like thoughts on it.
Yeah.
But ultimately, like the client's always going to have the last say on how they would like to move forward. But I always provide all their options on what they want to do.
Okay, and we know how, of course, it is up to the client, but them having all the right information so they're able to make the decision is very valuable. And I like that you have like a budget sheet because
Yep, I have a budget sheet that I bring out for people. Yeah, down to the dollar. So even if we have to quote like lawyer fees, anything we have to do, it's in there. If we're consolidating debts, it's in there. Like everything's in there because I don't like my clients being blindsided.
Yes.
Especially if you're a first time home buyer, like you don't know about the closing costs. A lot of people, they get to the closing costs and not realizing like there's all these other fees. So I put everything in front of them ahead of time. So there's no, like my clients have no surprises. Zero.
Yeah.
I've never had any clients that's had to pay any more than what we have discussed.
Okay. And I think that's really key because like not knowing the closing costs, which is wild because I haven't heard anyone have that scenario where they didn't know about the closing costs because
some people they don't know about it.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So like
lots of people, they'll get there, they'll think that the down payment is a part of the closing costs and it's not.
Okay, fair.
Right? So just like, hey, there's still land transfer tax. You know what I mean? There's still lawyer fees.
Yes. You know what? I just heard about that recently. Yeah. I was like, what?
Yeah.
But okay, so so let's say you just met a client and like, how do you sit down with them? Do you tell them these are the types of costs that you're going to be experiencing or?
So no, that's way far into my process. So before I interview all my clients. All my clients are interviewed. Okay. And I hope they're interviewing me too. Because I don't work with any and everybody, right? Like our relationship has to make sense.
Yeah.
So for me, the first thing I do is you got to book an appointment with me, and we do what's called a discovery call.
Okay.
So from the discovery call, I'm going to ask you some key questions, and that's going to let me know like whether we're proceeding or not.
Yes.
Okay. So things I'm going to ask is like depends on the situation. So I'll ask like if you're refinancing, what are you trying to do? Renewal? Are you trying to get a home? So I'll ask those type of questions. I'll ask some income questions. I'll ask some credit questions. And just depending on their answers at the end of the call, I'll let them know like where we stand in terms of like, okay, this sounds like a call we should continue on. And then at that point, I'll ask them for their information. I'll send them an application and let them know in advance what kind of information I'll be looking for on that application for them to fill out. Just so they're aware, because I don't like to just be like, all right, I'm going to send you some stuff. And then all of a sudden, like there's like 100 emails and you're like, what is this? What is this doc? I didn't know I had to do this. So I go through all the docs, like the basic docs that we'll need to get started. So blindsided, or they're like, okay, do you know what that document is? Are you able to get that? You know what I mean? I expect them to get it within 48 hours to me. Okay. And I move just as fast as the client does. So if you move fast, I move fast. Right?
Okay. All right.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. But the first thing is the discovery call. Like I'm not doing nothing. We don't go any further without the discovery call. After the application's done, I look to see, does this application make sense? Can we move somewhere with it? At that point, if we can, then I provide the budget sheet. Right? Okay. Because if I can't move forward, I'll say, hey, like, and sometimes I do provide the budget sheet to show people like, this is where we stand and this is where we have to go. Okay. So they know, because even if they can't qualify right now, like if they're a first-time home buyer or they're trying to get an investment property, I say, hey, this is where we're at. This is what needs to be done. Because I think that providing a visual is much better than just saying, hey, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just I like to provide the visual because I think, and they have it in their record so they know. So that's at that point is when they get the budget sheet, and then after we get the budget sheet, they like what they see or not, whatever.
Mhm.
At that point, I'll ask them for a commitment
Ah.
because I am based off commission, so
Mhm.
I only get paid when I close files. So
Okay.
at that point, I don't like people who are shopping me all those things, like because it's just a waste of my time, to be honest.
Mhm.
And if I'm committed to you, I want you to be committed to me. So at that point, I show you your budget sheet, and at that point, I'm like, hey, am I your person?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And
You
then
know,
if
you
you
have
say,
to
then I'm gonna
reel
now,
them in.
yeah. At that point, am I your person? Right? If not, then
Yeah.
that's okay. I didn't spend like 100 hours on your file. I mean, I would never spend 100 hours on a file, but I'm just saying like I didn't spend a lot of time on your file, so it's not. I don't feel stressed about it, and I feel like giving them a time to like work with me for a little bit to see if I'm even, because sometimes it's not a good fit, right? Some people, I'm not a fit for everybody. I want to be honest, right? Like
Mhm.
I work with people who are
That's
very
fair.
serious and ready to go.
And it's fair. Like if that's the case, then move on to the next one, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And hopefully, like a discovery call, the budget sheet would take at least like 1% of your time that you would have
Yeah,
spent
it's
with
not a
like
lot.
someone
Yeah,
else.
it's not a lot of. It's not a lot. It's not a lot
So
of time. It doesn't take me a lot of time to do it, so I don't mind that. But once I get there, because I'm submitting to lenders, and now
yes.
lenders have criterias, right? Like you can't just be sending in files and not closing them, right? Like you have to be. I have to be good with my lenders, right? So if I'm
Mhm.
submitting files that I'm never going to close, they're not going to work with me when I need exceptions and
True.
favors and because it's just going to look like I'm playing games all day.
Yeah.
Like
And
if
then
I'm not closing files with them, so.
they're like, yo, why are you ringing this person?
So
Right?
I can't risk like my relationship with lenders. It's not
True.
worth it for me. Yeah.
And that's good that you have like certain lenders that are familiar with you, and at least they know like, okay, I don't know what Chantal just sent me, but
But I'm trying to make it work because that's what you do. You have to build relationships with lenders, right? Like that's how you get
yeah,
favors done. And trust me, in this world, you need a lot of favors, lots.
right. Well, I love that process, but I really want to let's dive into this article that I found,
Okay, yeah, for
because
sure. Hmm.
I am gonna show it a little bit.
Yeah, show
Just,
it.
just bear with me because
Yeah, no worries.
good old technology. Um, boom, bam, bam. So let me show. All right, so here it is. So this is actually really wild. Like right now, tell me if you can see it.
Yep, I can see it. Yep.
All right, so like the household debt rises to 2.3. I can't even say it because it's so much.
It's a lot of numbers, a lot of zeros. Um,
Whoa!
yeah.
Like
Yeah, go ahead, Camille. Sorry.
yeah, no, and it's just like 2.34 trillion in Canada's average credit card balance jumps to 4,000. And you know what? This is, even though this is something that happened in September, and remember, next week is Black Friday, and we know what happens during like the holiday season.
Yep.
People depends more on their credit cards.
Yep.
So I'm not even surprised with this, but I was gonna say it real quick. Cost of living consistently on a rise. More Canadians are continually turning to credit, with the average standing at 4,000 from TransUnion. But I use Equifax most times. But hey, no dogging TransUnion, TransUnion. But it's an increase of 4.2%. But most of the debt is from
Mortgages.
mortgages, so
Mhm.
that's not bad in my opinion, because obviously we know that how much a mortgage has jumped up in the last couple of years. Um, but just seeing this is getting a little bit scary, because it has to deal with like financial management and debt handling. And I know I'm guilty of it too, like credit card or line of credit, but like once you're at a position where it's gone out of control or not manageable, that's when it gets actually scary. And that is something that I'm trying to help with folks to get out of, because when we think about like paying for rent or a mortgage, paying for a grocery,
Mm-hmm.
these things are really stressful. So like that was like one of the questions is like, how is your emotional aspect when it deals with debt? And just this article, because we browsed through it a little bit. I just want to know your opinion about this article, because it's scary right
It
now.
is scary. Yeah, it's totally scary. It's scary for a lot of folks because the truth is, we
Mhm.
can't even say people are out there doing the most and spending, and a lot of it's going towards bills. To be honest, food. A lot of us, as I said, like everyone, like most people are still getting the same pay they were getting a couple of years ago, right? But
Mhm.
everything is gas has gone up, housing has gone up, food's gone up. The price that I used to pay a year ago is different, right? So my debt is definitely going to go up. Doesn't matter because everything I'm doing, inflation has got it already, right? Like it's, you know what I mean? And it's sad because I mean, right now we're in the most the mortgages are in the most default they've ever been in. Credit cards, same
Mm.
thing. If
Mm.
I'm not mistaken, I think BMO even just cut off their car. They're not even loaning money for cars anymore. Like you know what I mean? Because
Wow.
everyone's just no, they're done because everyone's defaulting in left, right,
Yeah.
and center on all kinds of things, right? And as I said, it's not because like, oh, I don't want to pay my car payment, I don't want to pay my credit card, but it's just like, oh, do I max on my credit card or eat?
Yeah.
You know what
And
I mean?
like,
Like, or do I save my sorry? Do I save my credit card or do I
mhm.
eat? Right? Like it's just like, no, I'm gonna pay my bills. No, I need to feed my family. You know what I mean? A lot of people I know, like even some of my clients, like they have to do extra. Like when I see some of the hours on some of these clients, I'm like, how are you sustaining this? I have no
Mhm.
idea. I'm looking at some of these people's T4s when I'm looking at my clients. I'm like, how are you working this many hours?
Wow.
Like, you know what I mean? And you're still struggling, right? But I think it just leads to us to where, like me personally,
Mhm.
I have just been encouraging people to remind themselves that they need to have multiple sources of income. Okay. And without the multiple sources of income, you're doomed. If you don't have that, you're doomed. That is straight. I don't know how else to say it. You're doomed. You're doomed without it.
That is very
You
true.
can't,
Because
like, unless you're making $1 million a year at your one job,
yeah.
you're making like you're making a lot of money, which is not the case. It's not the case here in Canada. Like, I don't even think like, the average annual wage is even close to 100,000. Like, not even close,
Absolutely
right?
not.
And people, yeah, it's like I don't know. It's like maybe the average is probably like 40, $50,000, if that.
Yeah, well, and then they just increased the minimum wage to $16.65,
Well, did they?
and
Okay,
like, yeah, like a month ago or so, and like
okay,
even that is
not enough. That's getting taxes. That's not even to say that you're getting even, you can't even say like I'm getting that money. Because the truth is that the government's still like, and we still gonna take some of that for tax purposes. Thanks. You know what I mean? And we can't depend on our refund, like once a year tax time.
and
Like,
that's what most people are banking on, and I'm
yeah,
like, you
it's
got to
done before
stop
you even
banking
get
like
it.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
So and we got to stop living beyond our means too, right? Like some of us got to cut out. Like even me, I'm like, yo, I was thinking, I'm like, yo, I need to cut off Netflix. Like I don't know, like you know what I mean? Like just try to cut off these little things, like you know what I mean?
listen, if
Because
if you know someone that has Netflix, I'm just saying. If you know someone that
I
has,
know I need to get someone's password. That's like,
but I honestly believe that the multiple streams of income is important, because, and I've been saying that from time, like even if it's like slow and steady,
even if it's slow and
um
steady,
because
something
one day,
because
yeah, one day you could be, working and or having a successful business, and the next second you're just like,
exactly it's gone. I mean, the pandemic was a great example of that, right? Like,
yeah,
how could you prepare for something that you couldn't?
we
A lot of
literally
people
saw it.
couldn't. Yeah, you couldn't. you couldn't prepare for something like that. Like nobody saw that. That was like they hadn't had something like that since the Spanish flu.
Yeah.
How are you to nobody nobody had experienced that. Nobody. Because most people were dead. Then
Mm-hmm.
it's Spanish flu, right?
Basically. Yeah.
So you know what I mean? Like it's just you can't, like, how can you prep for that? You can't.
And that's why I always say, like, when it comes to like emergencies like this, is having emergency fund. Because, like, I'm not gonna lie, if I didn't have a safety net,
Mm-hmm.
like from that time as well,
Yeah. Yeah.
it would have been terrible. I did find the stats on the mortgage delinquents rate. Hold on, let me try to show
Yeah.
things. Oh my god. Oh, it's
Go
going
ahead. It's
way
going
back
higher.
from
It's gonna continue to go higher. And the unfortunate thing about it is that a
Mhm.
lot of people wait till they're drowning. They're
Yes.
drowning before they even come in ask for support. Right? Like I say, like,
True.
why are you coming now? Like when you first saw that this might be unmanageable, you should have said something. Not when you're like in default.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
And
Because
I think, yeah.
lenders will work with you. Lenders will work with you, but it's just like you have to look at it like this. I always tell people like this. Like I said, let's just say you have someone you lent money to and they start ghosting you. What are you gonna do? You're gonna get upset.
Stop, triggering.
You're gonna be like, yo, why you ghosting me? So they're gonna start doing the most to get your attention. You know what I mean? But if you call your lender and be like, yo, I don't have the money. Can we work out something? Can we do something? Like lenders are willing to work with you, but you have to let people know what's going on. Not
True.
after I've missed like payments. Like you got to do it ahead of time. Get ahead of it. You know what I mean?
But what do you think that's like a cause of? Like especially in our community, our pride and ego gets the best of us. Not gonna lie. But we really have to like take in consideration that it is ideal to be able to talk to the lenders beforehand and just make sure things are, up to par. And hold on a second, I see a little freezing, but it's okay. So Chantalle, see, she's so passionate about what she talks about, is that it froze up a little bit, but it's cool. Definitely want to consider multiple streams of income. And I wonder if there's anyone in the chat that is able to talk about what kind of income streams that they have other than their employment. And then also I'm just going to show, welcome Damien to join the chat and everything. Welcome. But there's the multiple streams of income. And if you guys don't remember that, there's earning with a like 9 to 5. There's rental income. Of course, if you're not in that type of category, there are REITs that you can take into consideration with that. There's dividends income. I always tell people that is the easiest way to be able to get another stream of income with dividends, because it's literally you being part owner of a company and they're giving you some money back just for being part owner. And then you want to think about interest income. That's if you're borrowing money or peer-to-peer lending. There's also like royalties. So like if you're able to make a product, whether it's like an ebook, whether it's a song, being artistic and being able to have that stream, I think a lot of folks would be able to do that. And there's one more. There's earning. Oh, and profit. Sorry, business. So profit income as well. So like basically, it's either you buy something for a low cost, or you sell it higher, and then you'll be able to get a profit, or just like capital gains, of course. So the value of an asset increasing. So those are things that we really want to take in consideration. And also cutting costs. Indeed, I know a lot of folks are not going to like that phrase, but sometimes you got to make a sacrifice So you're able to, you know, when it comes to debt and having that emotional drain coming from debt, you really want to find a way to manage it. And like I said before, if you're not able to manage the your debt and then you're drowning, you're gonna be like in a panic mode. And there she is. She's back, y'all.
I'm not sure what happened. I'm so sorry. I don't know if my internet just shut off. I'm tethering off my phone. So sorry.
No worries.
I don't know what. Rogers, this is the thing. You pay so much money to Rogers, man. Like, come on, man. We pay you like $100 something a month.
But remember what happened with Rogers? Like 2 years ago?
This is so ridiculous.
Actually, a year ago. Was it a year ago? With Rogers? How they just shut down everything? It's crazy. But no worries. Like what I did while you're coming back on, I just mentioned to the different types of income streams that folks can suggest. So I said earnings, rental income, interest, dividends income. Actually, dividends income is my favorite one.
Mm-hmm.
And if like someone's not able to do rental, then they can think about REITs, which is real estate investment trust, and because that's less capital. If you're not able to get the capital of having like a property, you can resort with REITs. Also profit income, royalties, and capital gains. So like there are different ways to get multiple streams of income. It's just that you have to like adjust yourself to be able to get those, right?
Yeah.
Like and it's like if you only have like a 9 to 5 or a business and you're not even paying yourself first, you're setting yourself for stress. I'm not even gonna say failure. You're setting yourself up for emotional stress that you don't need. And I find that a lot of folks think that there's no way out. When there is, it might take 2 to 3 years for that to happen, right?
Exactly.
And I know it's scary because like debt is not fun, but like I think the issue is that we never knew how to leverage it at first before just using it as like consumers, but we should learn how to actually leverage. And I would love for you to explain the leveraging. I know folks here has heard it, but maybe they want to hear it again and in a different way.
I mean,
and I think
go ahead. Sorry, Camille.
I can't see you. Like I see you, but you're not moving. So
I don't know. Can you hear me?
I'm moving on
I'm moving on my side. I don't know.
Okay. All right. So don't even worry about it.
Okay. Sorry, man. Sorry, I'm having technical difficulties. Of course, that's how you know the message got to get out there. When it starts trying to block you, like
right,
like you gotta fight to get through.
That's very true. That is very true.
Yeah. So there's different ways of leveraging credits. We can talk about all kinds of different ways. So you can talk about using it like the easiest way, like is usually for me is like I feel like it's through credit cards, is to leverage stuff like and you can also leverage your house, of course, because like you can get HELOCs, home equity lines of credits. And there's lines of credits, period, right? So those are the three different types of credits that you can kind of use to leverage credit.
Sorry, say them again. Let me write these.
I'm saying so HELOC, so that's a home equity line of credit. Right? Then there's your regular credit cards.
Yes.
And then there's the lines of credit.
True.
Right?
Okay, so I think it would be ideal to let's dive into that because I want folks to understand that. Because you know what? I remember my folks refinancing.
Yeah.
And able to pay off all their debt.
The debts, exactly.
And then putting it into the house. But I know it was like,
yeah,
you're kind of adding more to the mortgage. But correct me if I'm
Go
wrong.
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
But
Sure.
but I'm just wondering, like, the other ways to leverage the house, because everyone's always talking about, like, yeah, you get a house and then you take money out of that and then you get a next house and property. I just, like, I've heard it, but I haven't tried it and had like the proper understanding. So I was wondering if you could just,
Yeah, for sure. So like what you said your parents did, and a lot of people do this, right? Like, so you when you do a refinance, yes, you are making your mortgage a little larger, but the truth is that your mortgage interest rate versus your credit card interest rate, most people's credit cards are about 19.99%, right? So even if, let's just say on the high end we're paying 7% on your mortgage, like you could see the difference here. And the difference is that I get to leverage the fact that my house has like an amortization of like 20 plus years, 15 plus years. So like that payment all of a sudden went down to like $10 a month, $15 a month, right?
Okay.
So that's how you can leverage in terms of paying your debt off, because the truth is you're actually gonna pay less if you smush it into your mortgage.
True, based
right?
on the
And
interest.
now
Okay.
and now you have your credit to use again, right? So you have access to your credit all over again. Obviously, be responsible with it, but the point is that you have it there again, right? So that's what your parents did, which is I always tell my clients, anytime I can consolidate debt, I am doing that 100%. We could pay off cars, whatever makes sense. OSAP is the funny one. I always tell people, a lot of people like to consolidate OSAP, and I'm like, do not consolidate your OSAP, because the truth is that OSAP, you can pause payments. There was times where OSAP is charging 1%. So why would I put my debt into something that's 7%, knowing that OSAP is just my 1%?
Okay.
Right? Like OSAP will always work with you. Just a call away.
Yes.
Just a call away.
True.
Right? To make things work for you. But it's a cheaper debt. So don't put your OSAP. Like, you got to look at the interest rates here and make it make sense, right?
That is, you know what? That's very ideal. I'm glad you mentioned that. So, folks, ladies and gentlemen, if you have OSAP, don't do it. Just don't do it. But I like that.
And most lenders don't. Honestly, most lenders are like, they're not looking at OSAP as like when you have car payments and this loan and that loan, people. But OSAP, they don't really pay attention to that as much. Like, they're looking at it in terms of like your debt to income ratio. But honestly, like, again, because you can call OSAP and say, can you lower my payments? I just tell clients, lower your payments. Let's get a letter saying that you're paying less money per month, and let's move on from there. But let's not consolidate it, because the truth is you're going to actually be paying more for it overall in your mortgage. So anyways, another way you can leverage your HELOC, right? Like, so I had some clients here and I was saying to them, hey, we can get another down payment for a house. And they're like, there's no way. Where would we find the payment? How are we going to come up with like $100,000? I said, guess what? See all this debt we just paid off?
Yeah.
Right, with the refinance and all that good stuff. They're like, yeah. I said, well, the difference is that we would have taken money out of the equity or your HELOC instead and use that towards your down payment. So that's how you do it. So you're actually just borrowing money. So when you refinance, let's just say I owed $100,000. I'm just giving up. I like to use just easy numbers for people. Okay. I don't want to give you real numbers that what's really going on out here. But let's just say you had $100,000 and you're like, okay, you know what? I have enough equity in my house.
Yes.
To pull out another $100,000. Now some people be like, why would I take out $100,000? Well, the truth is that that's enough down payment to get an investment property, right? So now you're using that money to get an investment property. How will I qualify? Oh my God! Well, guess what? We're gonna use the rental income, right? We're gonna use the rental to offset those payments. So when we submit to the lender, we're gonna use the income that you have, but we're also now gonna be like, hey, we're getting this other house, but you know what? The truth is that we're gonna actually use the rent as a part of our income calculations. Oh. And you don't have to have a client. You don't have to have a renter in there yet, because when we get the appraisal done, we get them to put in what's like to do a renter, like to get a like how much they would like they can get for market rent. So actually use that to help qualify people to get it in. So that you don't even have to be making more money to do this, right? Because we're going to use the rental to help offset to bring your income up, and you don't have to have the renter in there yet. Like I said, it's not like you have to have a lease yet. You don't have to do any of that. Yeah. Right. You just say, hey, when we do the appraisal, we're going to get market rents, and then how much it should be rented for, and that's it. right? So that's how you can leverage it to get other properties, right?
Yes,
So
I
I tell
remember they
people like,
talked
yes,
about that.
use debt to get more money. And yes, you
Yeah.
are in debt, but you got to look at it like there's good debt and bad debt. This
Yes.
is what we call a good debt,
Okay,
right? Because
so
this debt is making you money.
yes. And I'm glad you mentioned that. So when it comes to good debt and bad debt, which ones do you consider good debt and bad debt?
Bad debt is things that are not making me money.
Okay, fair enough.
If it's not making me money, what are we doing here? And not
That's
money, not
simple.
slow money that makes sense, right? Because
Yes.
so for example, like now I can talk about a credit card, right? Like I'll talk about
Hmm.
a credit card. Like there's credit card, line of credit. You can use
Yes.
both, but I like credit cards because credit card gives you a 21-day interest free most times, right?
Okay.
Lines of credit, you'll get charged right away for interest. So
True.
when you're making those moves, but lines of credit are lower in interest rates as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you gotta make the math make sense. So for example, I'll try and make it simple.
Yeah.
Let's just say I had an event. I have a $10,000 credit card. I have an event. It's gonna cost me $5,000 to hold this event.
Mm.
Okay. Now I can go and take my money and do
Yeah.
it, right? Or I can use my credit card. So let's just have an event out in a month,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna use a $5,000 from my credit card.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now remember, I have not touched any of my money.
Yes.
I know this. I know that I should make. I'm just giving an example. Let's just say I made 7,000. I know I'm gonna make $7,000 off of this event. I paid 5. Gonna make 7.
Okay.
Right. So as soon as I make my money, I'm gonna put 5,000 right back on my credit card,
Yes.
and now I have $2,000. That's my money, and I never touched my money yet. I never touched my money. Right now, with that $5,000, what else did I do? I got a good credit card that gave me, like, either I have like some travel points or cash back. You're getting all that good stuff, right? And then what does that
Yes.
also look like? I'm paying my bills on time. I am using it responsibly. Oh, what is the bank? The bank rewards good behavior, right?
Yes.
So the
Yes.
more I'm doing this, their bank is like, oh my God, I love this. And all of a sudden now I got now my credit card's now all of a sudden up to $15,000. You know, I got to I basically got their money on consignment.
Yes.
I used their money. I never paid a penny out of my money, and especially if I do it within the 21 days, I never even paid any interest on it. Right?
Yes.
And then now all of a sudden I have extra $2,000 I never had, and I never once touched my money yet.
Okay. And do you think?
And you have insurance on it. So if anything went sideways, you're good to go, right? Like you can talk to your credit card companies and be like, I didn't do that, or whatever the case is, right? And that's insurance as well.
And you know what I like the most is that the 21 days, but this is for folks that are like, I don't want to bash anyone, but there's some people that will.
You have to be responsible. Like this is if you're not responsible, these are not the moves you should be making. Like you need to understand how to use credit first, right? And the first thing is to understand credit, period. How does it work? How does it impact me? How does it like bring me up or bring me down, right? Because I tell people this, credit could make your day or kill your day. Like if you don't know, like there's no like if you know how to use it, you're laughing.
Yeah.
If you don't, you're crying. Like it's, you know what I mean? So it's super important to understand credit. Like, for the longest, I didn't understand credits. And I remember I used to go into places. I didn't even want to go into places with people because I didn't know if I was going to get it or not. Like, I'm like, why is this Russian roulette every time I try and apply for something? Like, I never knew what was going on. Like, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? And then one day I'm like, something's got to give. So I started researching a lot of credit stuff. You know what I mean? And that's how I started learning about credit and started educating people around it, because I realized like it's so simple, but at the same time, the information is just not out there.
True.
And we just weren't taught because people don't know. They have no
What
idea.
was your first experience with credit? Because I can tell you mine. That's oof.
Well, my first experience with credit is I remember I was like, everybody had credit cards, and I'm like, I knew I was not responsible for credit cards. I already knew.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not gonna get a credit card. And one day I said, you know what? My mom used to rent cars for me when I want to go away and things like that. And I'm like, I'm gonna go and get my own credit card.
Yeah.
I went and I found out that I had fraud on my accounts. Like I had someone who had already had fun with my credit, and I have no idea. I still have no idea who did. And they had so much
No.
fun with my credit, and I had no idea what was going on. Okay, so that was my first
No.
experience with credit. That I didn't even get to ruin my own credit. Let's just put it that way. Someone did it for me, and
That
then
is
when I tried to fight it,
crazy. Yeah.
I was young, and I
Hmm.
was persistent, and they were adamant that it was me, and I'm like, it wasn't me though. It really wasn't. And I just didn't fight it enough, and I sat there for 7 years, and I just waited for it to fall off. I was that person. That's what makes me so adamant about teaching people credit, because I didn't have to do that. I didn't have to do
Yeah.
it. I didn't have to sit there with that, and it was little small little bills too. It wasn't even anything to say like, you know what I mean? I could have fought it easily, but I think I was just discouraged and I didn't know how. I just heard no once, and I kind of just said okay and I backed off.
Yeah. I'm
Um,
that
it would
hurts.
yeah, I would never
Like,
do that. Like, yeah, so that was my first experience with credit. Like I had like was I got denied and I didn't understand why. I couldn't even get a secured credit card at the time. Like TD looked at me like, you can't. I'm like, I give you guys like I remember giving them we're like, give us $1,000. I was like, okay. I gave and I
yeah.
still got declined, even with a secured, like even secured, they wouldn't give it to me.
I am so sorry that happened to you.
No,
Like,
you know what? It's okay. It was a part of my journey. And it's like
mhm.
one of those things where if these things didn't happen, like would I
Yes.
have done more research and found out more information? I don't know.
Mm,
Like, you know what I mean? I can't say I would have, right?
yeah.
So
That, what a way to start with it.
yeah, that was my first experience. And then I just kind of used my mom's credit card for the whole time. Like I just kept, Mom, need your money, need your credit
Yeah.
card. She did everything for me. I would just give her the money, she'd do everything for me.
Damn. Big up mothers.
Yeah,
For,
of course.
know?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's shocking because I didn't even know that. So you had that experience. So how did you get into I guess after this fraud, that's when
Yeah.
you jumped into financial literacy or
No, not yet. Not yet.
not yet? Okay,
No,
okay.
no. I wasn't there yet. But
Mhm.
as I said, like I started like, life is happening.
Yes.
Now I'm trying to look for a place of my own to live and do certain things,
Mhm.
and I want to get a car. Like there's so much things I want to do. Now credit is like, it's important. So I'm like, how am I gonna do this? Like I don't know, and my partner was just like, yo, let's just like look up, I can't remember what we did, but I don't know if we looked at my credit or did something. And I
Yeah.
think she was like, oh, let's just get a Capital One, like try it for Capital One. Yo, Capital One's a savior, low key. So I got through, and I was like, whoa, I got a credit card, like,
Capital One accepts anyone. The
yeah.
Capital One and MBNA. I ain't gonna hate on them.
I
You
know.
know.
I tell people, listen, man, if you need to get in the game, you're struggling, those are the ones, man. So that's what I did. And from there, like, it was kind of cool because it kind of like, I was like, I'm going to be super responsible. I'm going to do
Mhm.
this. And I made sure I paid it on time and I did
Yeah.
everything I had to do. And I started learning more about it as I got that credit card because I really didn't want to mess up.
Yes.
And then out of nowhere, I started like, I could walk into a bank and apply for a credit card. Then I saw all of a sudden they're like, I got a pre-approval. I'm like, what is this? I got like, oh my God, I go to the bank, they're like, oh, Chantal, Miss Ross, like you got, we increase your this, or do you want to take this? And all of a sudden I'm getting like, overdraft and all these things that were happening to me. And I'm just like, holy
Gotcha.
crap, like this is the world. This is the world I'm in now. Wonderful. You know what I mean? I needed to go get a car. I remember I used to be so nervous when I went to a car. I was confident because I knew that like my credit was tight. My income
Mhm.
was good. Like, you know what I mean? So I was like, I already knew like there's no way I would walk out of here without a car. But back in the days, like my legs would be, buckling, you know what I mean? Because I wouldn't even know, I wouldn't even want to go with nobody. I wouldn't tell nobody what I was doing because I didn't know.
True. True.
I couldn't deal with the embarrassment, you know what I mean?
And that's when we went back to like the ego and pride and like folks
Yeah.
waiting to the very
So that's kind of what happened, man.
oh
That's what happened.
shucks.
So.
Oh man. And then
Mhm.
so you were getting comfortable with debt and you finally got approved, like TD's like putting some respect on your
Yeah,
name.
yeah, the banks were putting respect on me, man. I was so excited.
Ah, and what made you jump into the mortgage industry?
So that was like a funny story, actually. Like honestly, like so I have a social work background, and I went to
Okay.
school for that, and I did all that stuff. So I went to college first. I went to
Mm.
university, did an undergrad in that in psychology, minor
Okay.
in psychology, and
Nice.
you know, I did a lot of community work, and my brother
Mm.
was like, he had just got a mortgage, and he was just like, oh, yo, you know, it's time to my mortgage guy. Yo, we should do this on the side. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like,
Mm.
what are you even talking about? Because I always thought you got mortgages from the bank prior. I didn't
Mm.
even know that there was people out there. And then it's like
Okay.
even when I started, people thought that mortgage agents were people for bad credit and things like that. It's like, no, I work with a lot of A lenders. Like, you know, I shop.
Mhm.
But at the time, anyways, I didn't know what was going on. My brother's just like, yo, let's just do this as a side hustle. I'm like, sure, whatever. Because my
Mhm.
brother, I just go along with him.
Yeah.
And I went in and I did the course, and I was just like, what the? I'm like, I like this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I actually just, it wasn't even supposed to be a thing. Like, honestly.
There's
But I
like,
got into, and I'm like, wow, I could actually help people on a larger scale because I loved helping people with financial stuff.
yeah,
And this is one of the biggest purchases that people and most people will make in their life is going to be this the house. So
absolutely.
I'm like, I want to help people on a grander on a grander scale, especially
Hmm.
especially Black people. And so I was just like, nah, this is something I got to do. It just called me.
Yeah.
And I just enjoyed it from like I think like the first second day I was just like from the course I did the course I was like, wow, like this is totally different. And then yeah, I did it for a bit on the side, and then I'm just like, nah, I'm doing this. Like I really enjoy this. So
Okay. Okay.
that's kind of how I got into it.
Nice. Well, big up your brother for
Yeah, I always
encouraging.
big him up. I always call my little big brother. He's younger than me, but
Aw.
he's a wise guy. He's very
Nice.
wise, and I just say okay, whatever, you
Yeah.
know.
Like, okay, let's do it.
Yeah, let's
And
do it together. So.
s- what would you tell of someone that's trying to get in the industry as well?
That listen, man, you're gonna have to have a mindset change. It's hard.
Mm.
It's very hard.
Hmm.
For the most part, you're working for yourself, right? Unless you keep a
Yes.
bank, you know what I mean. So that's a whole transition itself. You know, statistics show that 85% of mortgage agents don't even renew after 2 years because there's a
Whoa,
lot
whoa,
of
whoa! Say this again.
about 85% of mortgage agents don't even renew after 2 years. It's one of those industries where you know when they say like you know like 20% of the 80% of the people are making 20% of the money, and the top 20% are making the 80% of the
Mm.
money. It's one of
Mm.
those industries, right? So if
Yeah.
you're not good at prospecting, if you're not good at being uncomfortable,
Hmm.
because you're not gonna make it in this industry. So you really have to
Mm.
be like introvert. Like if you're introvert, like you have to like you gotta come out your comfort zone.
Yes.
It's very uncomfortable. I'm not gonna front. Like it's very
Mm.
uncomfortable. But you know what? If you start looking at it as I had to change it. Like I don't look at it as sales. I look at it as bringing value to people. Like you know what I mean? So as
Yes.
soon as like I always look at value, value,
Mhm.
value, value. Anybody I try to talk to, I always try to educate them. Like my clients don't just I don't make it's not transactional with me.
Mhm.
I always tell them I'm with you for a lifetime. Like this is not just this one and done. And a
Yeah.
lot of mortgage agents are like that, unfortunately, and brokers. Like they literally like there and then like you don't hear from them for 5 years until your term is ready to go. Like it's like no, because life is changing for people all the time. So for me, I like to stay in contact with my clients 6 months, a
Exactly.
year. I want to know what's going on because life is changing.
Mm. That's
Life
true.
is changing. So you need to
That's
find out
true.
where your clients are at, what's going on,
Hmm.
right? I also do like rate insurance to where like you know I'm always monitoring the like the rates for people so that if I see an opportunity for someone to save some money, I'm going
Yes.
to let them know, right?
And that's good,
Especially if you're on a variable because it doesn't cost too much to break that mortgage,
especially variable.
right?
God.
Yeah. So yeah, so that's pretty much yeah.
Especially variable.
Mhm.
I like that. And that I'm actually shocked that within 2 years
Within
most
two
of
years,
them are gone. And
gone.
you know what?
Hard. It's
I
easy and hard at the same time, but it's the prospecting. It's the
Yeah.
prospecting that's hard. It's not the job itself. The job itself, it is hard, but you could always get help. Because the one
Mm-hmm.
thing I've learned, and even like I know Ray, like Ray
Yes, yes, yes.
McMillan, of course, big up Ray. Ray, if I have a difficult file, I hit up Ray and Steph. I'm like, hey, like I need help
Yes.
with this file. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but the thing is, what I like about the industry is like you're not gonna go through something somebody hasn't gone through.
Yes.
So
True.
you can always find the answer, but it's the getting your clients that's hard, right? Because not everyone's gonna trust you to do their mortgage, right? And people trust banks. I don't know why they trust the bank so much. Like the bank is there to get money from you. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like you work, like low key, you're working for the bank when you just sign off. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're not looking out for your best. You're just working for the bank. The bank just laughs, right? The banks didn't call you last year when the rates were at 1.50. Did they call
Mm-hmm.
you? I'm like, did they
Absolutely
call you?
not.
Call you? But I would have called you, right?
See, now you say something interesting because obviously when it comes to certain mortgage brokers, you're having a personal relationship,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And it's always great because I even see like Raymond, he would post things on LinkedIn
Mhm.
and like newsletters. So it's always great to have people up to date, and you don't see that with your banks.
No, they don't care.
Like
You're just another person to them, right? Like I say, I'm like, they put you in this plan. I'm like, okay, great. Can I see the strategy behind why they put you in this particular plan?
mm-hmm.
What are you talking about? Like, why? So you just signed off?
Yeah.
Like, no, you have to have a strategy. Like, I need to know your life
Jeez.
goals, right?
Yeah.
Like, I have people who are like, I want to do investment properties, right? I might not put you in a 5-year fixed. I might put you in a variable, maybe not right now, but I'm just
Correct.
saying, like, if I know that you're on the market, you might, I know we might break your mortgage within 5 years. I'm not going to put you in a 5-year fixed, right? We
True.
might look
True.
at, hey, you know what? Let's look at a 2-year fix. Let's look at a 3-year fix. And
Mm.
while it might cost you a little more, and I'm like, sometimes it's literally like an extra $20 a month. It's not even
Yeah.
that big of a deal, really, in the grander scheme of things, to be able to move. Then why not? Like, so banks don't do that for you. Banks don't care about you. They just want to make their money. It doesn't say you've never seen any bank say, "Oh my God, we made these families millionaires." Oh, we like you because if they did, you would see ads for it. You would see ads. They would have that like blasting. You never
That's
see a bank, someone saying that, yo, this TD helped me make millions. Yo, RBC helped me make millions. You'll never hear that stuff. RBC, like you won't hear any of these.
that's very true. That's a good point.
Because they don't
Because
care. You're just another number to them.
yeah. So it's ideal to find someone that's able to cater to your financial goals and needs and also look out for the best interest.
Yeah.
So I like that. And what's another thing?
And I want to just say, I'm not hating on the banks, just because I use them, I need them. But I'm just saying that when you're trying to do your stuff, like just like, think about the grander scheme of things, and that it's just like, not that they don't want to be, but the truth is they're a business at the end of the day. Right? They're not going to be personable with you. They're not going to understand the needs of you. They don't really care.
And you want someone that's gonna
And you want someone this is a big investment. It's real estate. It's huge.
And how do you see what's gonna happen? Like, I don't want to scare folks. That's not the thing I want. I want them to just be aware of what's happening. But how do you see in the next 2 to 3 years that things are gonna play out?
Well, definitely. I don't see them going much higher. Definitely with the interest rate, if they go higher at all.
So not back to the 80s, right?
Like, wow, like they will literally, like, all of us would be out on the street, like just trying to figure things out, like squatting. I don't know what, or whatever it's called when you live in people's houses. Like, I don't know.
Oh my gosh, I've heard that happens often here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, huh? What? And you know what? I'm trying to think of a story. I think someone's told me that. Like, no, I have heard stories. So I've heard a personal story where someone just literally wasn't paying. But there's a reason why they let them. There's a reason why they're like, eh. But then there's also a time when, like, it was in the news. Like, this guy had to sleep in the in his car,
Yeah.
and he has investment property. I'm sorry. We're becoming roomies. Best believe. Best believe.
For
Me
sure.
gonna come in my yard.
Exactly, right? But because there's so much, the thing is, we live in Ontario, and I appreciate Ontario for so many things.
Yeah.
But there is some things, like, I'm not gonna front.
Mhm.
Like, the Ontario really takes care of the tenants versus the people who actually own the property more here,
Okay.
more so,
That's
and the
interesting.
backup to, like, even get to claim to get people out of their houses
It's crazy.
is, like, it's a long wait.
Mhm.
And the way the interest rates are, like, people are having to, because if you rent to me and I don't pay you, do you think that the bank cares that I didn't pay you? Do you think they care? They don't care. They're coming after you, right? And then you have to wait to take me to court, and that could take like 18 months.
Forever. I heard it
Right?
takes forever.
So that's the only thing about it. So it's just like, you really want to hope and pray you get, like, good people, and that's why it's good to do, like, good. Like, I always tell people, like, my clients, like, oh, let's put this on Kijiji to rent out the house. I'm like, no, we're getting a professional to go through references, credit
Yes.
checks, a
Yes.
property management company. Like, we are not
Yes.
doing this, right? Because
It's so
we just can't risk it. It's too risky in Ontario, right, to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I mean? It's not for, like, but it, like, in places like in the States,
Mm-hmm.
there's certain places, like, you can have a tenant out in a month if they didn't pay you.
Wow.
Right? But it's very different over here. It's not like that over here. So you got to be mindful of that too. And when you do investment properties, that's even why I tell people always get a HELOC. Like, some people are like, I don't want the debt. I don't want the debt. I'm like, no. It's not debt unless you use it, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
I always tell people, you don't get credit and lines of credit and HELOCs when you need it, because when you need it, it's too late.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So any of my clients that I can get in HELOCs, I always put a HELOC on there, especially for investment properties, because I want to let them know, like, just in case you get a tenant that's really going to mess with you, or, out of nowhere you have this, like, my roof just collapsed, or, like, you want to make sure that you have something in place that's not going to mess you up, like, financially, like, you know what I mean? Where you're all of a sudden having to dig out your own pockets, where, you could have took advantage of your HELOC or something, you know what I mean?
True, especially that last story that I heard.
Yeah,
like that's actually really sad. But like I said, we're roomies now. If I can't. Yeah. But you know what you mentioned, and I find this happens a lot, is that folks kind of like see what's happening in the States and think this is the same thing that's happening in Canada. Is there anything that you could like a small advice, like, it doesn't happen here?
Listen, man, honestly, I always tell people, like, this is why it's important just to team up with a professional. Okay, because the truth is that it's not your lane. You know what I mean? And even if we can't even say Ontario is like Canada. It's not. Like, I mean, Ontario, it's like, because something happens here in Ontario, that it's across Canada. It's not like that either. It's literally I can't even operate outside of Ontario, right? Because I have to be licensed, because things are different.
Absolutely, yeah, right? True. Like, imagine if you're doing if you're in Quebec, the same concept.
Quebec is one of the hardest places to do mortgages, right? Like, it's very complicated, right? Yes. Like, Quebec is one of the most complicated mortgage provinces, if not the most complicated province, right? When it comes to that, right? Like,
you want to be separate so bad.
It's very different. Quebec is just their own. They just do their own thing for everything. They don't care, obviously. But I'm just saying how unique. And from the States, you can't look at how things are run in the States to how things are run over here. Things in the States, me personally, I find things are way easier over there personally. But again, even from state to state to state, there's different rules that apply. So it's important to make sure that you're teaming up and not just saying, don't go get advice. Like, I appreciate people who are like, my dad gave me some advice. My mom gave me some advice. And I appreciate that, because I always hear people say, oh, no, but this person said this. And I'm like, no, I get it. And I know you love them and trust them. Yeah. But it's just like, if they were a barber, would you ask them about your car? If your car was making noises, would you ask them? Like, I'm just asking, would you ask your barber about a noise that's happening in your car?
Me seeing something under the hood, Wait, hold on, don't cut my hair. That's
Like,
no, and I say that all the time. I'm like,
don't do it. Get a professional.
that's
That's it.
like that's that's like one of the main things. And I think a lot of folks they like I understand the advice from their elders or older, sorry, I mean
Yeah.
elders, but older relatives is valuable, especially because they raised you. But
Yeah.
if they don't know about it 100%, it is ideal to ask a
Yeah.
professional for advice. And also, I know that you learned credit or debt in the harshest way,
Yeah. But
biggest reality check.
I also went and got education around it too, right? So
True,
it's not,
true.
I didn't just like I learned it, but then like yeah, I started doing more educational, taking courses and whatnot and things like that to understand it a bit more too. So.
Nice. And okay, so before that, what are the 3 things you wish you knew about money when you were younger?
All right. So one is
Mhm.
I heard this guy say, I want my money to make money
Mm-hmm.
before I spend it. So if I get money, that money has to
Yes.
make money, and then from that money I can spend that money. Right? That was something I wish I had known.
Yeah.
I'm trying to practice that right now because I'm like, okay, I got paid. How
Mm-hmm.
can I make this money make money before I spend it?
That's
Right?
ideal. And what's okay? So that question.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me 2 things that we'd be able to do.
So one,
Mhm.
it's not for everybody. You got to learn about it, but
Correct.
I do stocks as well. Okay, I'm
Mm,
a stock
mm.
person. So I put
Yes.
my money in stocks. Let's see what my stocks. I do options and things like that.
Okay. Okay.
So I put your money in there.
I get excited when I hear options and futures.
I know, I know. I'm like, you don't know what you're doing though. I've lost money, but I've also gained money. So
Listen. Yo. I will have another episode about futures and options.
I look forward to it. I'd love to hear about it.
It hurts.
Yeah, it
But
does.
sorry.
So that's one way. And then also like if you're in like if you do businesses or you know you like some sort of business
Yes.
or investment property, like just something, but just put your money into something, right? Like even for me, like I'm about to go cancel all my savings accounts and just park my money in stocks. Right, like even and not just options, like just like BOO, those safe
Safety.
stocks,
Yes.
S&P 5, like those safer stocks that over time,
Exactly.
instead of my money just sitting in a bank account making $5, you know what I mean? Where your money will make way more money in the stock and whatnot, right? So
Exactly.
I like to. I'm cutting off all my savings and just parking my money in.
But you know what? The one thing I like about it, with the savings, there's a couple ones that will give
Yeah.
you. They're right now like GICs. They are at 6%.
Okay.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
It's not bad because it was like 2% before.
Yeah.
Point 0.00000.
Yeah, that's what I'm like. Wait, what? So I borrow your money, I gotta pay you 20%, and then when you take my money, you pay me 0. What? It's so weird, right? Like like the bank borrows our money. That's why they get upset with us. Like imagine if I have $100,000 in the bank right now, I gotta give you guys heads up that I'm coming for my money.
Exactly. Crazy.
But you guys just take my why? Because you guys have took my money and invested it. Right? They're doing the same thing. But you gotta act like a bank. I tell people you gotta act like your own bank. Like look at how the bank operates, and then you gotta treat your money exact same way. Like you know what I mean? Exact same way. You gotta treat your money like you're a bank.
Yeah.
Look at how the banks operate, and you do the same thing. People borrow money from you. Guess what? Interest.
Like, listen. Yeah. Contracts, interest,
whatever, right?
This Bank of Cam is out. But sorry.
Yeah, so that's one thing I wish I knew about money. Another thing I wish I knew was how credit worked. Now, no fault to my family, none of that, because I think it was just coming from like we don't know what we don't know. Especially when you're coming from countries like like my mom came from like what is credit? Like they don't like what I mean? Like you're not using credit in certain countries. Like I had someone I was talking to the other day, and they were saying like their family's from Somalia, and you're like we don't use credit. Like, we don't even know what that is. So when you come to Canada, you're placing credit cards in people's hands because they're a newcomer. Some people just don't even know what it is. They're like, oh, money? Then they had to even, like, back in the days, they used to solicit at universities and colleges. They had to stop it. Because it was just reckless, right? They didn't educate people. So another thing I wish was that. And then the other thing was how to leverage credits. I didn't know how. Now I do, but those are the three things I wish I'd known. When I first got started was like, yeah, how my money to like use my money to make money, how it works, and how to leverage credit.
And you know, in time that it will get more familiar. So I'm glad that we're having this conversation.
Yep.
Because like that great example, like newcomers, if they're not accustomed to credit or debt, obviously they're not, when they get here, they're gonna be like, huh? How is this thing? Yeah. And then like my parents were Jamaican or like the Caribbean, when they were building houses, they would do it like step by step, right? So it just boggles my mind how they adapted to the credit life and stuff. I'm like, oh, you guys really westernized yourself.
And it's very different over in certain countries, because when you own something, you own something.
Exactly.
Right? It's just yours, right? That's what people are used to. So no, I don't have credit, or I don't have a lot of money, but even if I lost my job, I still own this house. Even though I lost my job, I can still grow food in my backyard. Like, you know what I mean?
True.
But you know, when you're in the Western world, it's very different, right? Like life is very different. But the thing is, they really have to educate you. And it's sad because I feel like even in school, just like the two things, between taxes and credit, I'm like, why are you guys not talking about this in high school? And these are the two things that no matter who you are,
exactly,
it's going to impact you, right? But these are the two things they never talk about.
It's so true. Like, and it's funny you say that, because I was at an event yesterday. Big up Flip and Floss again. Stacy and Barry mentioned that in grade 10, she was introduced to taxes.
Yeah.
And like, imagine having that experience like 20 odd years ago. You know how much we'd be in a better place.
Really
but
better
like
place.
I mean, it's like folks like us and other folks that are pushing the financial literacy, especially during this month.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy that we're like able to strive and push with this. And sadly, I know folks, Chantalle is a little bit frozen, but it's okay. You can still hear. Again? Yeah, but don't worry. It's like still you can
around. I don't know if I was just staring into
the. You're like, ooh. And like, it's okay.
Geez, sorry, man. My internet is wonky today, man. I don't know why. Like,
okay, Rogers. I'm joking. Sorry. And big up Dr. Vibe for coming true as well.
Yes, Dr. Vibe. Yes.
But what's a different? That's not the question. What is next on your agenda? Like, how are you going to be taking over the world?
I mean, honestly, I just wanna, like, I just recently started doing more work on Instagram because I want further reach.
Yes. Actually, whoa, I should have bigged you up from before, because I booked that you were like, you know, off the Instagram before, and then you made it a goal to be consistent, and you actually inspired me to do it too. Yo, let me tell you.
You've been killing it. I gotta give you your props. Like, you've been killing it. You committed, man. You committed.
It's so hard.
It is.
But I found a loophole. I'm not sure if I want to show bloopers, but it's annoying. But I want to give you your flowers, because like, you helped me. I'm like, okay. I think this makes sense. This is what I should do for November. Do a reel every day. Gosh, like, you guys don't even know how
it's
difficult.
It's tough. Yeah, because you got to be in the mood. You gotta, like, life is happening. Like, you're like, I'm gonna do it now. Then things come up. Then it's just like, it's a lot. And my weakness right now is I'm not batching the way I need to. I need to batch content, and that's where I need to work on my game. I'm going to be honest there.
I we'll say it offline, but yeah. I ain't gonna hold you.
but
no.
yeah, the IG, like that's my mission. Like honestly, because at the end of the day, I just want the information out there. People are like, I'll go do stuff for free. I'll do it all because I'm just like, I don't do this for money. Obviously I want money, but I don't do it. It's not, the money's not, even when I got into this, it was funny because when I started doing mortgages, I didn't even know how much I'd be getting paid. It was the funniest thing. So I was just like, I don't know, what am I getting? Like a couple $100? Like that's what I was thinking, honestly, like if that, like, you know what I mean? And then when I was like seeing what I was like, that's what happened? Like I was like, okay. But it was just because but it just was a reminder to me, like I'm never in this for money, because I feel like if money's your goal, you'll never win. You know what I'm saying? Like for me, it's more about bringing value to people. And while my content's not going to resonate with everybody, it's fine. I'm a strong believer that, whoever's supposed to hear is going to hear. I'm not on here. I don't care about likes. I don't care about your comments. I appreciate them, but I don't care. I don't need it for validation. Because the point is that I know a lot of people watching. They're not gonna like it. They're not gonna think, but they're gonna remember though. And I just want to get the information out there. That's all I care about, is the information's out there. It's up to you whether you use it or not. But you can't say the information's not there, because I want to make sure you have it.
Because I think what you said is true. Is like the information's definitely there, and it's like what are you gonna do, or what will it take for you to seek more guidance or execute on your goals, right? Yeah. So I definitely appreciate that, and to do it to provide the value of the service is key. But you also want to make sure that people don't devalue you as well.
No, for sure. And I think that's why I like Instagram for that, because it's just like, what are you going to do? Come on my page and start hating on the comments, like the things I'm saying? Like, it's, you know what I mean? Like, it's hard, especially when you have a group of people who are going to defend you on there. Exactly. Right? And be like, hey, why are you doing that? What's going on? Right? I'm just here to educate people. You know what I mean? And if you can't appreciate that, then just stay off my page. Because anyone I don't appreciate, if I don't like the content you're putting out, I just unfollow you, or I just don't pay attention to what you're saying, right? Exactly. And you can do the same thing with me. Like, it's okay. Right. But I also try to use a mix. I also like to do motivational speaking and other things. So I try to mix up my page, because I know not everybody wants to hear mortgage. You know what I mean? So I try to throw some inspirational things up there too, because that's how that's me, who I am too, right? Nice. So I throw that up there, and and I got to use a lot of motivational talk, because some people are very scared when it comes to the mortgage process. It's a very anxiety-provoking process. Like I know. I can't explain it. I know a lot of people wouldn't understand until you're going through the process. But imagine if you feel nervous about applying for a credit card or applying for a car. So imagine now applying for a house. Like what kind of level of anxiety that is, waiting days to hear back from a lender. I'll pre-approve. Like all of my clients, like I'll know if they'll qualify or not, like before I even submit the lender. But the point is, I'm still waiting back, because sometimes the lender, like I've had the clients where the lender's like, I don't like this property, and they won't give me even though everything's fine, just the property's too old, or we don't like where that area is, or something like that. You know what I mean? True. Yeah. So you got to work with them, But again, going back to the relationships, that's where you kind of be able to
get that understanding. True. Because like I not that I've had I've been here. Gosh, we just hit 21 years.
Oh wow! Congrats.
Yeah, that's why I'm gonna stay as long as I can.
You stay where you can as long as you can. Okay. Like I had my cousin the other day, and she's like 21, and she was telling my cousin, my cousin's it was her daughter. She was like, oh, I'm gonna move out soon. I'm like, oh, you're moving out? I said, well, you know what happens? Her mom was like, cuz do not let her.
No, there's no reason for us to
go out on your own, guys. Stay home as long as you can.
As long as it's
it makes sense. It has to make sense, obviously. But
As
yeah,
long as it makes sense financially, emotionally,
yeah,
mentally,
exactly.
stay.
Hey, don't be in a
Stay.
rush. Team up with people that you trust.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Even to get into homes right now, like I'll tell people, I'm like, yo, room up with people, man. But make it make sense. Put a contract in
Yes.
place.
Yes.
Put an
Yes.
agreement in place. Like, don't
Yes.
just because it's my brethren. Listen, man,
Mm.
I understand that, but also listen, man, we got to get a lawyer involved and
Yeah.
let's get some contracts going.
True.
Because we just have to. We always have to prepare for the worst. It doesn't matter, like you know.
True. And that, you know what? I like that you say that because I don't think a lot of folks take that into consideration.
Yeah,
And it's, as of now, like, remember when we were talking about like the ghosting and stuff? I think
yeah.
it would be more ideal just to like, I'm not saying I don't trust you. I just want to
Life happens.
protect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's for both of us. It's
Yeah.
protecting both of us, right? Like I said,
Mm-hmm.
it's not just about me, it's about you too, right? Like
Exactly.
this is just like this is what we do. And if we know that we're not gonna have any problems, then we shouldn't have a problem signing this.
Yeah. Exactly. It's
No problem.
it's a big, trust me. Let me use
Yeah, like
ChatGPT
this
to
is
do
financial.
contracts.
Yeah, this is a huge financial commitment, right? At the end of the day,
Yes.
like you know what I mean? And we got to make sure everything's tight here. Like we can't have loose ends. Like this is not like, and this is your people. Obviously, if you're married, it's a little bit different and things like that. But I'm talking about like when you're buddying up with a friend to go, you know, make a move or do
No,
something.
I think it doesn't matter. I think
Well, you're right.
everyone.
You're right. Yeah. It should be for that. But I think you
like,
can just get away with a lot more if you're married because
even family, man, even family sometimes.
Even family.
Like,
even family, gotta protect
I
yourself.
wouldn't. I think I wouldn't do it to my grandma. My grandma, at least,
Yeah.
she'd be like, "What?" I'm like, "Listen, grandma, we have to make sure." No, I wouldn't do that to her.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, Chantalle, this has been amazing.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I had a great time.
Right?
Sorry about all my hiccups.
Nah.
Oh, I need a cuss out. Like this is the thing. Like Rogers, like honestly, like why are you doing this to me?
Don't worry, it's Mercury retrograde soon, so it's just starting early. It's starting a week early. Honestly, there's some, I don't know. The universe is doing some crazy things. Like yesterday, I almost got scared because my phone almost completely shut down on me yesterday, and I was like,
wow.
I was like, phone.
Not my phone. Not the phone.
This is the last thing I need right now.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, please. You know, I kept it cool. But then traffic and all that stuff. But like, I really appreciate like you coming through and like blessing the stage and talking about debt with me, because like, even though like I talk about personal finance and I help people get out of debt, there's other ways that we can not only get out of debt but leverage debt.
Yeah, you can leverage debt. It doesn't have to be bad. A lot of people look at it as bad. Like even just, I know we're ending here, but just even so, like when I was talking about the houses, like some people would be like, oh, I want to pay off my house sooner. And I'm like, guess what? If you want to pay off your house sooner, we actually have to get into more debt.
Right? So the irony.
Yeah. So for example, if you want to pay off your house in 10 years, no problem.
Yeah.
But we'll buy another property or two and then we'll sell it to pay off that debt in 10 years. So that's what I tell people. Like, we'll just use other houses now.
We'll sell it.
We'll pay exactly. And then we'll pay off. We'll keep it for a little bit, get investment so someone else is paying it. Because most houses actually double in equity, double in like every 10 years.
True.
Right?
True.
So you keep a property for like a 10 years, 15 years, and you just literally sell one of the properties and you literally can pay off like all your debt and you're done. So if you want to small up your mortgage and not have to pay, you know, not be in it for 25, 30 years, like the traditional amortization, then those are what you do. You just you get into more debt, but good debt.
Yes.
And then you get rid of the debt by selling off the houses and whatnot. Yeah.
That's actually
I'm making it sound really simple. It is simple, you know.
Yes.
Again, you need to just need a professional to guide you through it. It's not complicated. You just need to make a plan. That's it.
Yeah, because like you saying that makes sense because we've all seen how and I've personally seen it, like the equity off of someone's house, like how much they've been able to accumulate, like even their net worth will be able to be better. So that's a good idea. Like a lot. Folks,
it's good retirement plan. Good retirement plan too. A lot of people don't have a really good retirement plan. Like, I was listening to Earn Your Leisure the other day, and they were saying like you need about $10 million to retire properly. Like, you got to look at these things, right? Like, if you think like a $500,000 is gonna like set you off for retirement, like,
no,
that's not gonna do nothing
unless you have it in like
something
non-registered.
Yeah, it's still growing or doing something for you, but not even. Because people are also like living way longer than we've been in the past, right? So when you retire at 55 or early retirement at 55, 60, and then you're living to be 80, 90 years old.
Yeah.
All those dreams you had of traveling when you retire, all those things, and now you're like
exhausted.
You can't even do anything, or you're working more than you want to work because you can't even retire.
Yeah.
Because so these are strategies. I love real estate for that. Like, what I mean? Like, to leverage it in so many ways, but again, get yourself working with a professional.
Absolutely.
And it's not always the person at the bank. Not saying they're not good, but it's not always the person at the bank. A lot of them are not. Like, they do a lot of things. When I go to the bank, like, the person does mortgages, also does investments, also does banking, also does this, that. Like,
you just want someone to focus on one thing.
Yeah, you want someone who's gonna be there for you, who eats and lives and breathes this stuff. Like, you know what I mean? So
that makes sense. That makes sense. And I'm so for folks that don't want to, or actually for folks that want to have a well-established relationship with Chantalle, boom, bam, bam, there's her contact.
Yeah.
And where can they find you? Even though
I'm mostly on IG. That's where I'm kind of pivoting my business to, because I want to live a laptop lifestyle. I'm a virtual operator, so I don't actually meet my clients in person. Okay. So if you want to chat with me, you call me or we do a Zoom. Okay. And that's because a lot of times I'm not around. I'm not even in Canada a lot of the time. Well, that's a part that I built my life and then I built my business, right? Because I knew the life I want to live. So I don't want to be the person driving around and like when I could be working on files. Realtors would rather me work on files. Clients would rather me work on files than me, spending hours and hours just driving around. I don't need to see you. Like, everything I can do is virtual, signings virtual, everything. So but IG, you can email me, call me. That's how you get in contact with me. But anyway, just send the bat signal. I'll be there.
Fling up the hat. If you guys don't get that joke, then you've been under a rock. Chantalle, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend, a friend. And we're talking about financial literacy. And so big up yourself, all right?
Yes,
and on that, folks.
Thank you so much, Camille. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Financial literacy, knowledge is a must. So link the flip boss, watch the result flash, and watch your life change. And for your better cause, you have a business or a plan and want to make it. Yeah, flip and floss, so they want to manifest it. Yeah, and if you want to better manage all your credit, call the boss. Flip and floss, no doubt, then we do it. Yeah, flip and floss, money literacy boss. Yeah, greatness in our blood because we're working for your cause. Flip and floss, money literacy boss. Yeah, boots up your knowledge for your minimal cost. Hey, yeah, flip and floss, money literacy boss. Greatness in our blood because we're working for your cause. Flip and floss, money literacy boss. Yeah, up your knowledge for your minimal